Happy Friday! We're going to chat about homeschooling, specifically what we do as a homeschool family. I'm going to watch for comments or questions on my computer over here. That's why I look down, and because I'm filming with my phone again because the computer is not working or the camera is not working on my computer. So it's a little discombobulated, but that's life. So you can tell I am in the schoolroom. I just noticed. I just noticed what's above my shoulder. It's Jaws from a shark, our schoolroom. So, all right, cool. Well, it's Friday. I don't know if that matters to anybody. For me, it's nice because Friday nights are guys' nights, so I don't have to worry about dinner, feeding the kids, or what they do from about 5 p.m. on. So that's nice. So I like Fridays. Um, but I want to talk about homeschooling a little bit. I've had a couple friends, people ask me about what we do as homeschoolers. How do you homeschool? So some of the stuff is going to be specific for our county or for our area or for Florida or for Florida, our state, but a lot of it is stuff anyone can use. So start off by saying we love our local schools. We love our teachers. We have lots of friends who are teachers, and we have friends who are public and private school kids. So this is definitely not anything against any schooling choices. This is just more information, just to share kind of our story about homeschooling, and if it can help someone who's struggling homeschooling or just on the fence, not sure if they could homeschool but they really want to, or just kind of where the state of the world is now. Some people are full of fear, and fear alone should not be your instigator to homeschooling. Um, but people are just wondering what to do. So this is just kind of showing you our story and some options, or kind of directing you to places to find the answers to the questions, because I have a lot of questions I put out there. Who has questions? What kind of questions do you have? I tried to find good answers for those questions. Some things I'm not familiar with, so I'm going to point you to the direction of good websites or Facebook groups. Hi, Johnny. Hi, Naomi. Hey, Angelina. Um, so why do we homeschool as a Rogers family? Like, what we moved into this neighborhood about 10 years ago because we had our one child who was 2 years old. We needed a bigger house with a bigger yard, and we wanted to be near an awesome school. We moved into this neighborhood for the school. That was like one of the main reasons we moved into the neighborhood. So I'm not one of the people that has always wanted to homeschool. Didn't really think about it much. We wanted to find a good school, and we have a great school in this neighborhood. Like, we could walk a half mile to our school, our elementary school. So we love this school. Our neighbors enjoy the school. So that's why we moved here. My oldest is a July baby. He went to VPK, loved it, our local VPK down the street. And I just knew when he turned 5, right before his kindergarten year, he just was not ready in any of the ways. Sitting still, holding the pencil and writing. And part of it was I wasn't ready to have him sitting in a kindergarten class for that many hours doing those things. So much structure. I wasn't ready for the structure of it for him or us as a family. So we said, hey, he's a baby. We'll hold him back a year, keep him home, practice the things he needs to learn for kindergarten. Then next year we'll put him in for kindergarten. So I was literally just going to hold him back, unless for some reason he was extra smart. And then, okay, maybe put him in first grade. So it was only going to be for that first year. We had him home. My other baby was maybe around 2 at that point. And we loved that year. That year of keeping him home. He had just turned 5. We played, we read, we did field trips, we did all the things you already do as a mom or a dad, and we just did it to the nth degree, to expose him to places and things. And, we're already teachers as parents, so we just did a little extra that year. and kind of looked at worksheets or workbooks, and a great place to find the cheap, easy kindergarten kind of ones would be like the Target Spot. Dollar Tree has the great, easy, cheap ones that you don't need to spend a lot of money on. So he just did that for his kindergarten year, and we loved it. We had a very flexible schedule. I stayed home already. My husband had a flexible schedule he made himself. We like to travel, so it just worked well with us. The schedule of homeschooling worked well with us with the two children we had. So we decided when it was time to enroll him or think about homeschooling him again. Hey, Holly. We decided that let's just keep going. It worked this past year. Let's try it again. So we did it again the next year. And then the next summer came around and we're like, hey, this is working out pretty good. Let's do it again. Every summer it's been like, let's just do it again. Every kid, it's been, let's do it again. It's working out well for our family. I only had a handful of friends that homeschooled. It was literally our kind of co-op. There were 7 in all of Jacksonville area, and I'm going to be corrected on this because I don't even know how many. I know the last time I looked, it was over 40 of these different of the co-ops. So homeschooling in general has exploded in our area. So that in turn means the support is there, the friendships, that everything is building here locally, especially. So I asked my friend, what do you do? So for joining your co-op, I need to be around people who are doing what we're doing. And so it just ended up like that. Just as easy as that. And along the way, and along the years, had conversations with God, like, is it still what you want for our family, Lord? What can we change? What can we do different? And he's pointing us still on this way. So that's how it's worked for our family. We still enjoy having the flexibility of time and the control over the curriculum our kids are learning. So that's our story. And Josh and I are on the same page. He basically says, this is your realm. He supports me 100%. He does the extracurriculars like building the fort together, which is math class, and home economics and all the other things. So being on the same page obviously is key as a husband and wife team. So I'm going to go ahead and answer some of the questions that I was given, and then kind of show you around our room and what we do. How do I know where to start a curriculum or co-op? Just first off, Florida is a very homeschool friendly state, which we were very blessed. We have great legislators, people in Tallahassee working on our side, fighting for our freedom of education for our families. Some websites, if you have a pen and pencil, you might want to write this down if you want this information. If not, you can come back to this video later. Some websites that you want to get familiar with if you're either looking into homeschooling or already homeschooling and need extra support or extra things to look at. FPEA.com. It's for Florida homeschoolers, and a fun page to go to would be like looking up the Mythbusters. There's a page, just explore the whole site. Like, I'm not even going to direct you anywhere. Explore the whole site, and there's a specific page on Mythbusters about homeschooling. So that's a good site to start off with. Harry Jacks, I'm saying it wrong, I'm sure. It's HERIJAX.com, and that's for Jacksonville homeschoolers. That lists co-ops. It has the guidelines. A lot of people want to make sure they're doing the right thing, and we're teaching their kids what the other children would be learning in school. So go to Harry Jacks, and they'll have the guidelines and stuff like that there. HSLDA.org is all the legal stuff. And that's the team of lawyers and people that are working for the legal stuff for homeschoolers in Florida. FLDOE.org, that is the Florida Department of Education. So on that website, you just go to schools, school choice, other, home education, and that will list the Florida Department guidelines and expectations. But remember that you're in charge of your child's education. So even though they list the stuff, your rights are being supported in Tallahassee. So whenever you are looking at it, remember the school board is not your child's teacher. You are, if you're a homeschooler. So just, take it with a grain of salt, the Florida DOE, but go back to the other first sites I said too for more homeschool friendly stuff. Facebook groups, huge support network, especially when you're staying home all day and you aren't out and you know with people. Facebook groups are awesome. Northeast Florida Homeschooler, that's a good one to try to join or look at. Jacksonville Mom Homeschool Community Group. Then Classical Conversations dash official. Jacksonville Homeschoolers. Mandarin Christian Homeschoolers. And Free Range Learning. They're all different kinds of co-ops. You'll have all different kinds of homeschooling in general, different kinds of people, every kind of person that is covering this earth. There are those kind of people homeschooling. So there's also part-time homeschools where you drop your kids off for a couple days a week and then they're home for a couple days a week. You have, so you have them home more than public or private school, but you don't have as much freedom when it comes to curriculum. They're taught certain things and they have that homework the rest of the week, but they're awesome things to think about too. Harvest Christian Academy, Providence Extension, also known as PEP. That's for the older kids, middle and high school. Play Garden Montessori out at the beach. They have like a part-time homeschool program going on too. Collage Day School has a part-time homeschool program. So those are kind of summarizing and showing you there's a lot out there to help everybody. So how do you compare your children that you're homeschooling to their peers? Like Beckett. So when we entered our homeschool co-op, he was put in the group. So he's actually on track to graduate high school at 17 because of how he's a July baby. I didn't hold him back because that's just how it happened in our co-op. So he's one of the youngest in his class. So how do I compare or try to not compare him to an incoming 7th grader at our local school? It's hard. It's hard, especially with social media and all the self-doubt as a mom you have. But I'll take him for example, our oldest. When he was 8 is when he started to read, 8 years old. Now they're teaching kids to like read these little storybooks at VPK, kindergarten, you know, I don't even know anymore because I don't compare anymore. But whenever he was 5, 6, 7 and he wasn't reading and he was saying no and it ended up just being a fight between us, I was nervous and scared and oh my gosh, what's wrong with him? What's wrong with me? I can't do this anymore. We can't homeschool anymore. And it was really, really hard on all of us. And I think we do that to our first child anyway, because we're trying to figure this momming thing out and making sure we're doing it right, but still leading with love. So we had to put his books away. I kept my books out and I would read to him, but we put all the phonics, all the reading and writing even away. He would say, Mom, it hurts to hold my pencil. Okay, well, we're going to put it away for a year. So he did not read until he was 8 years old. Now, if I had compared him constantly, it would have really, or tried to push him to be where all the others were, it would have hurt our relationship. And heart issues in a relationship is more important than any curriculum or any worksheet you could possibly do. So in general, it can be a good thing, and it is a good thing to kind of like make sure your child is progressing. You want to see the progression that they're learning and growing. But to compare them to another child, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. And that's not why we're homeschooling in the end. But it is stressful. I completely know it is stressful in the moment, especially with the first child that you think you're going to mess up. So after I stopped pushing, he blossomed and bloomed. Our relationship grew. He started to love learning. We were exploring more. His curiosity and imagination was just blowing up and just growing. And he's never stopped learning. So when his brain was ready to learn, when he was ready to learn, he picked the books up and he learned when he was 8 years old. And now he's almost turning 12 and he cannot put a book down. He takes a book in the car if we're driving for 5 minutes. So it gives me a breath of fresh air, and it should give one to you too, because they will all balance out. Like, just keep progressing and taking the baby steps and focus on something else if something's not working, and they'll get there. So just take the pressure off, work on the relationship, work on the things that they're interested in and the things that they're good at, and build that part up. My next son, who is now 9, he picked up reading like that, was reading the books perfect. Like, he's the kid I could stick right back into public school and he would be right on target with everything. So every child is different. Every child in your own family is different. So just try to take the pressure off and just focus on the good stuff. So you know your child more than, or better than anyone else in this whole world. You love your child more than anyone else in this whole world. So yes, you can homeschool your child. You already are schooling them in so many facets of life. You can do it. One thing which was cool to me to see is how kids learn differently. My oldest is an audio learner. That's why he talks through everything, because he has to hear it back himself, and then he learns it better. So we got him audio books and just all the audio stuff I could find, curriculum, math audio stuff. And my second one is more of like the look. He wants to look at it, and if he reads it, it's good. He knows it. So you have to learn it. Are they audio, verbal, visual? Go from there. Tactile. They want to play with everything. So curriculum can be cultivated and made to go with each child's differences or their likes, dislikes. Where do they find friends? These poor unsocialized homeschoolers. Where can they possibly get friendships and relationships and build their social skills, right? Where? Everywhere. Everywhere. Co-ops, church, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, sports, art classes, gymnastics, museums, classes. Different museums have classes, the playground, your neighborhood. So socializing your children, because that word is used so much, is a non-issue. I promise. I promise. Socialization for homeschoolers is not an issue at all. So don't let that be a hindrance for you. Even if you have just one child, even if you only have an only child, it'll be okay. I promise. The biggest challenges, so one of the biggest challenges, or someone sent me a message saying, what are your biggest challenges and what are your biggest rewards? So our biggest challenges, mine personally, I'm an introvert with 5 children. Can't really be an introvert with 5 children and homeschool them. So my biggest challenge is alone time. And I think that's most homeschool moms, is alone time. So how do you fix that? It takes time. It takes patience. It takes coordination with your spouse. Yeah, it takes a lot. And now that I have older kids, they can help out with the younger kids to give me a little time. You just have to work it out in your schedule. You have to find time to be alone, to do the things that bring you joy, to do the things that fill you up. Yeah, you just have to work it out, because if you don't, mom is not going to be sane. And no one wants a homeschool mom to be crazy, which is another challenge. Self-doubt is a huge challenge, I think, as a homeschool mom, because you're kind of like, you're independent and you're doing this and you're in complete charge of your kids' everything, right? So there's this pressure to get everything right for all of your children all of the time. So with that, you could have self-doubt, right? And then comparison, like we talked about, and that can be just steal all the joy away. So you can't let the self-doubt come in. And that's where the support groups, the co-ops, finding friends who are also in the same place you're doing the same thing, other homeschool moms or dads, and you have to be surrounded with like-minded people so that doubt can't steal your joy. Yeah, and I have done this. Like, honest moment. Mommy truth telling. Um, there's been days, many days, not my brightest, shiniest moments. We have to pass our school in and out of our neighborhood. I will drop you guys off right now. I will just kick you out of this car and you will go to that school. I'm done. Mommy's done. It's time for you all to go to school. Another teacher can teach you today. Raise your hand if you're a homeschool mom, you've done that, because I'm going to drop you off at the school. So yeah, there are challenges. But aren't those things true anyway with whatever path you're on? Don't you get to the end of your rope, whatever path you're on, whatever choice you make, there's always going to be the low days and the stressful days and the crazy days. So I can't choose the path I want for our family based on the stressful or the challenging days. So also a challenge is it can be difficult to narrow down the best curriculum for your kids. You know, you do know your kids the best, but sometimes it's hard to learn your kids and to figure out how they learn the best. So what ends up being the best for your kids will also end up being best for your family as a whole. As biggest rewards, oh my gosh, there's so many rewards that we've seen in our family. My kids are each other's best friends, hands down. And that, for a mother's heart, is like one of the top 3 best rewards you can get as a mother, is having my kids spend 90% of the time together, growing their relationship, teaching each other, helping each other, leading each other, following each other. Them being best friends is by far one of my favorite things. We are the ones that are pouring into our kids. We don't have to just wait till weekends or after they get home from school. We are pouring into them 24/7. And that is really special because you have to be intentional with what I'm pouring into them. I can't pour into them what I'm not pouring into myself. So I have to pour it into myself. The Lord has to pour it into me. Then I can pour it back into them. And that's really, the intentionality of that is really super sweet. We get to spend the best hours of the best days with our kids. I won't ever have to think like, oh man, that year just went by so fast. I didn't even get to spend time. I didn't get to do this. We didn't do this as a family. Like, we are able to intentionally spend that time, their best hours of the day, their best days of the week, their best time growing and learning and absorbing. Their little sponges. We get to spend that best time with them. We have complete time freedom. Like, there's no schedule besides our co-op, which is 1 day a week. We can pick up and go school in the mountains for 2 weeks. If we really wanted to, we could go to Europe, right? Maybe not right now, but someday. You have complete time freedom. I can school for an hour in the morning, take the whole day off, go field trip at the museum, school for a half hour in the afternoon. The museum is school too, but that's a whole different story. Curriculum freedom, we can choose as a family what suits each child the best. That's it. There's hundreds of curriculum choices, and I'll share a website you can find out curriculum later, but there's plenty to choose from. Honestly, too many to choose from. I don't need a lot of choices. Just tell me, boom, boom, boom. We get to choose who is around our children. We get to choose who are the other people that pour into them, like our tutors at the co-op, like the other kids at the co-op, the neighbor, like everybody we spend time with, it's intentional. Everything that's going into our children is intentional, except for right now, because they're all doing electronics, leaving me alone and being quiet. So whatever is on PBS is pouring into them right now, or Minecraft, because I'm certain they're doing Minecraft too. So, grace. And we have, as homeschoolers in general, you have more time to focus on the extracurriculars. We have a lot of homeschoolers that do year-round sports. We had a homeschooler family that she was into gymnastics and training for hours a day. You can. It's harder to do those kinds of things if you're in a regular school setting. So it's neat that she can choose to homeschool and still choose to do her sport that, they're on the track to, that's going to be what she does in college. And I think she had Olympic dreams and stuff like that. So you can pour into your child's dream while still getting the school stuff done. I mean, arts, music, sports, everything. And we have another reward is we can choose to do field trips every other day of the week if we want. Go anywhere we want. Haven't done it lately, but that's what you can do as a homeschooler. How do you not go crazy as a homeschooling parent? As a homeschooling mom, how do I not go crazy? Alone time, right? The spouse has to be able to help coordinate, and like when he gets home, he knows, he can tell if I need space, if I need alone time, and he's off taking them outside, doing whatever, just giving alone time. You need the support of other homeschooler families. You just need it. You should not homeschool alone. It'd be too lonely. You need the support. Your kids need the support. Take many breaks throughout the day. Take the whole day off if you need to. We take plenty of days off. We've taken plenty of days off the past 2 months. Anyway, we'll get back to it. Heart issues are more important than finishing a lesson. If you can tell there's something going on with your kid and you need to work on some attitude adjusting in a gentle way, step away from the school stuff. It's not worth it right then. Relationships and attitude and heart issues are more important. If something isn't working, change it. If a curriculum isn't working, change it. Put it aside, just like I did with reading and Beckett years ago. And when you guys are ready again, you can attempt it again. So how do I not go crazy? Sometimes I hide from them. I'll go into the bus. Have not gone to their fort yet. I should totally go up and hide in their fort sometimes when they're not in the fort. Hide from them, eat a piece of my secret stash of chocolate, because all of us moms have it, the good chocolate. Go grab the Word, go grab a glass of water, and just be in peace alone. And it's really quiet right now because they're all in the den. The only way for me to fill up, hiding from them, right, Eleanor, right? The only way for me to fill up my family is if I'm getting filled up. That's the only way. That's the biggest way to not go crazy, guys. That's it. How do you school multiple kids? Multiple kids. Multiple ages and multiple ways of learning, all this stuff. And that's the reality that I live in. But also the reality is schooling takes less than 2 hours a day. The older ones, like Beckett getting into 7th grade kind of stuff, he really could probably put in more than that. He will be putting in more once August comes, and it's more of a structured program that he's going to be going into. It's for 7th grade. But that's more independent work. I only need to be teaching my kids an hour and a half a day at their ages that they are, 9 and 6. So when you have multiple kids, you can have the older ones watch the younger ones while you're working with one of the older ones. You can do that. It's easier that way if you just kind of like separate, divide and conquer. Spend 30 minutes with you, 50 minutes with you. You go over here and play with this with him. We'll get it done. We'll get it done. And just swap them out. Some curriculums, we have one curriculum that you can school them together, and the older ones just kind of go deeper in the subjects. Our co-op is a curriculum that we'll school as a family. So that's a good idea if you have multiple kids and multiple ages. You can hire mommy's helpers to play with the little toddlers or the babies while you school your other older kids. You can kid swap with close friends or a neighbor, have some chores to do for any of the kids, have tasks to do for them while you're schooling another kid, and take lots of little outside breaks, school outside, take snack breaks, and just break the day up. And then it works. Somehow it works. Schedule. How do you have a schedule with homeschooling? We don't have one. I am not type A. I'm not extremely organized. I've been practicing and trying to get better. We don't have a schedule. With our ages and seasons of life we've been going through lately, it just hasn't worked out to have a real schedule. We have more of a routine. My older kids know what is expected of them. We have what's listed for their school kind of stuff to do, and then chores to do for that day. They know what they're expected to do, and as long as you know as you put the expectations out there, and they have practice at doing it, and you help reinforce that practice, it'll build the habits, and then it'll give you as a mom a little more free time because you're less nagging. It's taken me a long time to get here, ladies and gentlemen, I guess. But just give them the expectations. Write it down, draw pictures of it, whatever the best way they can communicate. Give them responsibilities. Build up the responsibilities, and that will build up their independence. And that gives more time for mommy to do mommy things. We mainly live life as a family and learn through our living. So a lot of the curriculum that I've been drawn to as a family has been more of the curriculum that's kind of living based. Like what do we desire for my kids to learn to live? Not necessarily the guidelines that the school system puts out of what, they need to know this kind of fraction in this age. Like, it's more of like, what can we learn? Let's bake a cake. Let's go through fractions like that. Tablespoon, teaspoon, all that stuff. I want to keep in mind the purpose that God has for their life. I want to continually pray and ask for the Holy Spirit's guidance. So I know as a parent that I'm doing my job to get them to where He wants them to be. And education, supporting, introducing them to things, all of that. There's so many co-ops, so many kinds of co-ops. You can just Google it or Facebook, question it. All different kinds. Harry Jack's, in the beginning of my talk when I said HERIJAX, that one, go there, it'll show you co-ops. Sports, legally, homeschoolers can, if you're a registered homeschooler, you can use the sports and the extracurriculars at your local school. So go check your local school, and this is specific for Duval, Jacksonville, but you can look up and go up to your school when it's open and ask them about it. If they don't have the answer, ask them who to ask. Work up the chain. Superintendent's office. Legally, homeschoolers can do extracurriculars, sports, band, all that stuff. You just have to ask and do the paperwork. All right. I'm going to show you guys around my homeschooling room. I was just going to finish all the talky talk stuff first. Support. The websites I already said have all the support. Our curriculum. Let me just show you some of the stuff we use right now. Our co-op is called Classical Conversations. It was not well known when we first started, and now almost everyone I talk to as looking into homeschooling has heard of it or seen or know someone in it. So this is kind of like the book that we use. It's backwards. I see that. And say like this year we're going over U.S. history. This is the kind of stuff we do. We meet for 24 weeks. 24 weeks. We're doing U.S. history and the body, human body this coming up a year. We're doing elements, the periodic table. We're doing U.S. geography. And we do arts, projects, English, math, and Latin. So it's a classical based, honestly, I don't even think it's called a co-op because it's a franchisable organization. But parents are the tutors. See, classical conversations. Parents are always, you're the teacher. So the teacher they have in their class at co-op is called a tutor because the tutors are just helping us as parents, reinforcing what we're doing at home. We use that. When they're older, this will be Merrick's first time doing this. We use IEW for our language arts, I guess. And this year, since we're based on U.S. history, we're using U.S. history writing lessons. We love IEW. Beckett's did three years of IEW, and now he's going to a different program called Challenge. For math, what I love for the younger elementary, and Beckett actually still reads these, Life of Fred. It's really like goofy, silly little stories, but it's like he uses math in it. It's really silly. Like you're like, oh my gosh, my kids would think this is too silly, but they love it. It's just funny little like, I don't know if you can see that, like funny little stories. But it's also like Charlotte Mason. So there's different kinds of homeschooling, and you can Google this. I don't need to answer all this, but it's kind of just, it's story based and living based learning. Another one I found a couple of years ago was called The Good and the Beautiful. The Good and the Beautiful. And I'm pulling this back out. We used this 3 years ago, our classical conversations on a rotation of 3 years. Every 3 years, they do the same thing over. So 3 years ago, we did this. This coming up here, we'll do it again. And it's a great little, it has, so Good and Beautiful is unit studies for their science. I know they have other curriculum, but I just liked it for their science. So that's what we're using again this year. And we'll probably dig in deeper with periodic table and elements and stuff. And the math I've liked this past year and will continue with this year is Lessons for a Living Education. It is good that it talks about using math in day-to-day life. Like it gives you stories of how this kid is using math with their grandma in the kitchen or coloring or whatever. So it's using it living wise. That's how that's how I like it. And my kids are doing fine on it. So I like living learning. For the things that we don't use extra curriculum for, which is not needed, with our classical conversations, you don't need to do anything extra except for math, but we choose to go a little deeper into things. We like using books. Like when I show you this room, it's full of books, all kinds of books. And if my kids don't read it, I'll read it out loud to them. To find curriculum, a great website is kathyduffyreviews.com. CATHYDUFFY reviews.com. All curriculum is all there. Look at it. It's easy. It's easy to look at. Sunshine Individualized Learning. You can go to her Facebook page, and she can help with curriculum and evals. Obviously, it's a service, so it's something you'd pay for if you want to use her. I have not used her. I do have friends that have. Virtual school. So if you go to your county and you want to do virtual school, great option for a lot of families. I don't personally know anyone who's, like, I'm not personally interacting with someone who's doing it right now, currently. But it can be very useful for a lot of families. So I wanted to add this in here. It is not categorized as a homeschool, It's categorized as public schooling at home. So a lot of things are different. Your county website will have all the information for that. So I can't help you with that much more. How do you start kindergarten? So I have a lot of friends who have younger ones who are like, I don't know what to do. They just finished VPK and what do we do now? Kindergarten is supposed to be fun, exploration, reading out loud together, going on field trips, doing little workbooks. Like I said, you can get them at Target or the Dollar Spot or Dollar Tree. Practice holding pencils, practice cutting things, weaving, using their hands, go outside, jump on the trampoline. That's kindergarten. That is kindergarten. So here's the steps if you wanted to file to homeschool. Number one, file your intent, your notice of intent to homeschool with your school superintendent. Get the form to use from the HSLDA website that I said before, and send it in close to August, the beginning of your school year, because that'll be your annual renewal date. So we want to push it towards the end of summer, not the beginning of summer. It'll help you later, I promise. Number two, register as a homeschooler or under an umbrella school. I'm not going to spend time on umbrella school. You can Google it. But umbrella school, you just have to keep track of attendance instead of portfolio, like I'm about to say. 3, keep your portfolio of samples of work from each subject that your child does with dates in a packet. And I'll show you Beckett's last one. At the year end, which will be that August date again, you want to get an evaluation from a certified teacher or take standardized tests. We have not done testing. I don't know my kids would know how to do testing right now, which is fine. I'm not worried about that. They can learn that skill later. So we have a neighbor friend who is a certified teacher, also a homeschool mom, and she comes to do their evaluation. What they're looking for is progress, not perfection, not comparing. They're looking for progress compared from the beginning of their year to the end of the year. And that's it. Someone asked me about special needs kids and homeschooling. Sorry, my throat's really dry because I'm talking a lot and talking too fast. There are, I don't know any, personally know any, I know some kids who are on the spectrum, but I don't know who are more special needs. So joining Facebook groups, Florida Special Homeschoolers, and then Homeschooling on the Spectrum were two I found that look really good. I know you have to have an IEP and or a diagnosis for these next few things. There's a Gardner Scholarship. It pays up to $10,000 and you can use it for classes, therapies, extracurriculars, private tutors, curriculum. There's also a John Peterson Scholarship, and there's a website called Step Up for Students that you can apply and get grant money also to help you as a special needs mom homeschooling. And then also I do have friends that have used the Special Olympics too. So in summary, before I show you the rest of my room, check out the FBEA website, the Harry Jacks website, join Facebook groups, befriend homeschool moms, ask lots of questions, read a book that's called Homeschooling from Rest. It's just that big. You can do it in like a couple days and it will renew you to get you ready to homeschool, or just renew you if you're burnt out from homeschooling. Don't let fear dictate your decision one way or the other. You can't lead your life by fear. So above all that, pray. He gave you your specific children. And if he's leading you to be their full-time leading learner, teacher, then he's going to equip you to do that. He's not going to be like, here, go homeschool. Peace. Have fun. He will walk you, and I've seen it every day of my homeschooling mom life. He will lead you through it. He will equip you, and you were made for this. You were made for these children were made for you, and you can do this if this is what you're being led to do. So, you want to see my crazy room? I did clean it. All right, let me see if I can get this. Excuse my hand. Oh, okay. So, this is our schooling room. Now, you do not have to have a homeschool room. Do not make homeschooling school at home. I mean, I guess that could work for some families. But you're mommy. You're not their teacher if they're used to teachers. So I would lean against making it school. Now we have one big table that we all share and sit at sometimes if we can get along. And we chose as a family to do this one room. And this is a bedroom, one of the bedrooms in our house. Like, this is the door out to the hall. Like, this is a full-on bedroom. We have a lot of kids. Like, why would we use a whole room for schooling? For my sanity, for their sanity, all 4 boys share a bedroom. We chose to have them all share a bedroom so we could have this schoolroom. It was that important. Poor Beckett. He does great and he's very patient. Someday we'll move things around, but right now we have a schoolroom. So like I said, we love books. So I've already gotten the books ready for this new school year. We've got our human body, our U.S. history, all kinds of stuff here out where they can read. This is like the easy reader, kind of like fun stuff that they don't have to have me for as much. I love this. My husband hung some hooks, so their backpacks are all up there. Oh my gosh, it's one of my favorite things. The backpacks are finally off the floor. And homeschoolers do wear backpacks. So here's another little area where we have this Life of Fred math, just like random things that don't belong anywhere. Like I said, our classical conversation, we do in 3-year cycles, so each of these boxes is a 3-year thing. So we're out with the US stuff now. All right, so big old desk and chairs and all of the computers and all the things stay up here all the time. And so that's it. These are really great little boxes. They're like the pushy ones from IKEA. So each kid has their own box to kind of hide stuff away. Here are more. Look, as you think it's a seat, but really it's more books. So again, I've already gone through and put our stuff for this new year. This is like all of our human body elements. And so Beckett's doing a 7th grade big boy program. And he's going to be reading some novels this year. So I have his stuff over here on the side. And then guess what's over here? More books. So we don't use a lot of curriculum per se, but we have a lot of books. So I have it like organized. You know, we already have U.S. history, arts, music, some fun little books, reading books down there, virtue books, all the fun stuff. Sometimes if the babies are in here with us, they have a light table. They can play at the light table, especially if we're doing more of like the one-room schoolhouse curriculum together and we don't mind the babies being in here, they can be there. What's cool is for our co-op is that our kids don't have to bring a lot to the school, but our older kids do. More the program, the bigger program. So they each, look at this, Merrick and Beckett both have their own rolling box. Look at that. You know you're a homeschool family if you have 500 rolling boxes for books. But that's it. So now I'll just show you, that's the room. Now I'll show you Beckett's portfolio. I end up putting, the portfolio is for me too. Like your portfolio is for the teacher, it's for the evaluator at the end of the year, but it's also for me and for him to look back and say, this is all the stuff I learned this year. So I put a lot more into it. Sorry, Eileen, our teacher that comes to evaluate us. She's like, you have too much in here. Just pull something out for me. This is a portfolio. So can I turn this around? I can't. Let me see. Okay, perfect. Okay, I guess I could have done that the whole time. This is his portfolio, Beckett's portfolio. Three ring binder. I have it separated because we have 24 weeks. 1, 2. I separate into weeks. So if we go to week 1, I print out what we are doing that week. This is I did not make this up. I am not this talented. This is an already prefab thing. So like week 2, this is more of our stuff for our CC. So every week I put stuff in here. Notes. Look at my beautiful 11-year-old's handwriting. Just put stuff in the weeks. Put the things they're working on. Tear stuff out of their books. You know, this is all torn out of the book, his workbook. Just put it in here. So I have it all set up here. Put dates on it. Have it ready. Did you just look at my notes? Have it ready for the teacher's end of the year. But it's really sweet to go back and say, look at all this that you did this year. Isn't this amazing? And that's really as easy as it gets, the portfolio. Also, a reading log. Keep track of what your kid's reading. And yeah. Man, I think I'm done. This is a long talk. If you made it this long, I don't know if anyone did, but I hope it was useful. I hope there was something you could get from this. And I just know there's a lot of homeschooling questions out there right now, and I wanted to kind of say, hey, if you're thinking about it, you can do it. Reach out to me if you have any more questions, or if I said something wrong and you want to correct me, that's fine too. Yeah, that's it. If God's called you to this, He will walk you through it. Love you guys. Thanks for joining me. Bye.